Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. I wanted to talk a little bit about this housing crisis, this housing condo crash that we've just chatted about, because I actually don't think it's bad, and I think it's something that we need to see as actually a really helpful market reaction to what's been going on. So, what we've had in the last couple of years is an investor led condo building spree. And that was because it was, number one, very difficult to justify the construction of owner occupied condos because banks demanded that 75% of the condos be sold pre construction before they would give the construction loans. And you couldn't do that. So therefore, you ended up building smaller units that would attract these pre-construction condo investors that would buy several condos, get you up to that 75%, get the developer up to that 75% so they could get the financing so they could build. Why weren't developers building purpose-built rental? Because the rent controls and other disincentives to build rental and the incentives that had existed previously to build rental had changed in the marketplace so that purpose-built rental became very unattractive, and developers just weren't building apartments. But there were still being rental accommodation being built. It was just that developers were building condos, condo investors were buying them, and then those condo investors turned around and rented them out. And so what you ended up having was a whole slew of small time landlords that were renting out their condos. And so you still had rental accommodation, but it wasn't really as attractive and as well run as it would have been if it was purpose built rental. But you know what? Because lots of condos got built, lots of investors wanted to buy, governments were okay with it. And even though the rental vacancy was low, it was still there was still supply being provided, and so it was okay. But what ended up happening is we didn't have enough supply, and because we didn't have enough supply in other parts of the marketplace, prices went up, and also complicated by low interest rates, lack of other investment opportunities, or at least the ease of investing in condos and getting financing from the bank, and the attraction of being able to buy a pre-construction condo, put down a 10 or a 20% deposit. And by the time that condo was actually built and you had to deliver the other, 80-90% of the purchase price, the price had accelerated, had appreciated by 10 or 20%. And so therefore you could sell the condo on an assignment sale and never have to put the big money out, and you made 100% return on your money. So it was this incredible Ponzi scheme that went on and on and on. And what it did is it priced so many people out of the marketplace and led to an unaffordable situation in the Greater Toronto Area, and Montreal and Vancouver and elsewhere. But it's changing now, and it's going to change in dramatic ways. So I think that the condo prices are down. Pre-construction condo prices are down 30 to 40%. The resale of those pre-construction condos. We used to be able to sell pre-construction condos at 1,200, 1,400, even more per square foot, and are now going for under $1,000 per square foot. And I think that listings are up, as Daniel talked about. Sales are down. Prices are on average holding steady. But his point is that doesn't take into account the fact that condos are down, and it's single family homes that may be up, and the medians are up, and so therefore the average ends up still looking okay. And that the single family homes are selling, the condos aren't, and so therefore the averages have sold rather than actually listed may be very different. And it takes a while, because you're looking at sort of the rearview mirror on the sales prices before you actually see the impact. But why do I say this is actually good news? The reason why is I think we are reaching a level of affordability, and I think it's going to work its way through the market. And I worry that it's going to work its way through the market in a boom bust, bust boom kind of manner, when it would far be better, obviously, if it was in a more reasonable process. If you own an asset, a home, a condo that's overvalued, and you want to sell it, and you buy another overvalued asset, condo or home, have you really made any money? If your condo goes down in value 30% and you buy a townhome or a condo or something else that's gone down 30% in value, have you really lost any money? And I think the answer is no. This really is a paper profit, paper high valuations that we were looking at when real estate got really overvalued, but we still need a place to live, and we're when selling something, still buying something that is also overvalued. We're not actually making more money. And so if we can get prices down across the market in a reasonable way, I think it's actually better from affordability standpoint. And so I don't think people should be overly worried about this depreciation in prices. I think it's actually healthy and it's good, and it's actually potentially really beneficial for Toronto, the Greater Toronto Area, for the market, etc. But I've got a big if. I think it needs to happen in all segments of the market, not just condos. I think condos and the depreciation is going to spread to townhomes, to semis, and potentially ultimately to single family homes, as people that are in those other segments choose for monetary reasons, for economic reasons, to actually move into a condo because it's such a compelling economic proposition. And people, therefore have less demand for all the other parts of the housing spectrum. But what I'm really worried about is a bust boom kind of scenario. Daniel talked about some of these numbers, and I talked about some of these numbers. So let's say there was 25,000 condos being delivered in 2024, 36,000 condos being delivered in 2025, 18,000 condos in 2026, and then next to nothing, 2,000 or something like that in 2027. So you got this huge increase in supply with stagnant demand, maybe even declining demand because of what the federal government is doing in regards to restricting immigration and foreign students, etc. And then maybe a dramatic decrease in supply. So that should lead logically to a depreciation in pricing, and then potentially a acceleration in pricing in the future. And why that deceleration in supply? It's for all these reasons. It's because prices are going down. It's because people aren't buying pre-construction condos. It's because development fees and taxes are so high. And so therefore now is the time that governments need to be worried about what they're doing today and how it's going to impact 27, 28, 29 in supply. And I think that we need to reduce development fees, if not eliminate development fees. And as Daniel says, it's better to get 50% of something than 100% of nothing. We need to decrease taxes on purpose-built rentals and condos. We need to reduce red tape and regulation. The development business is one of the most overregulated business. I don't suggest we do what Elon Musk is doing in the United States, but we are overregulated. We have too much red tape. It takes 3 times as long to get a development approved as it does to actually build it. All those things are mistakes, and we should realize it. And now is the time to take action. Because if we don't take action now, what's going to happen is you're going to have this crash in condo prices now and in the next year or so. No supply being built. Tons of projects are being put on hold. A complete lack of supply in 2027, 2028, 2029. And we're going to be back into this again, big time, if not worse. So governments, now is the time to take action to make development easier, get out of the way, reduce development fees, reduce regulation, reduce red tape, federal government, reduce taxation. And then I think we need to address this issue of, we've had this dramatic increase in supply in condos, but that's not where everyone wants to live. So how do we get the increase in townhomes? How do we get the increase in semis? How do we get the increase in single family homes? Daniel spoke about opening up the Greenbelt. My God, what a political hot potato. But if there are select areas that should be opened up that are serviced with infrastructure ready to go, let's have an adult conversation about this rather than the no or yes kind of conversation. Let's think about whether the blanket Greenbelt made sense, and take a look at other places in the world. And did it actually make sense? In London, England, some people said all that happened is the The housing just jumped the green belt, went to villages farther afield, made commuting longer, made environmental degradation worse. I don't know. It's worth looking at. People can't be robbed of their dream of owning a single family home with a backyard and a pool and a deck, place for the kids to play. We've got to build some single family homes. And if Toronto and the 905, at least the close in 905, are out of space, greenfield space, how is it our right to say you can't have that? Or you can have it, but only if it's an outrageous price that you can never afford. So I think we need to open up some space. And so therefore, building highways, building railways, building infrastructure, opening up some space. If it is truly fragile environmental land, precious environmental land, ravines and conservation areas shouldn't be touched, no question. If it's, as Daniel said, serviced land ready to build on with infrastructure already there, I don't know. I worry that sometimes government makes blanket proclamations. This area is a green belt. And then forever after, people have a very myopic, cut and dried, can't develop 1 inch of it, or we should develop a whole bunch of it attitude. When really the adult conversation should be, let's see if there's some areas that can be developed because that's the right thing to do. And I think that this, these extra lines that go out, the Bolton line to open up new areas in Bolton, Orangeville, etc., might make sense. Though Orangeville is a long way out. I think that four-laning, Airport Road, 427, the 404, to make it easier to access areas where you can build single-family homes, that makes sense. We've got to think about how we increase supply, not just in condos, in what I'm worried about in 27 to 2030, but also how we have that spread to townhouses, semis, and single family homes. Now is the time in this condo crash market discontinuity, really, time for us to take action to solve this housing crisis once and for all. And government has to look at it and has to take action, and it has to be now. Thanks. That's Brian Crombie for the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. Good night, everybody.